Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another edition of Let's Talk Chelsea, breaking down the latest Chelsea news on a regular basis. Hope you're doing well and keeping safe on this Wednesday. It's Premier League fixture release day. Chelsea's full Premier League calendar for 21-22 has been confirmed, released. We're going to get into it. It's one of my favourite days of the football calendar on this channel, so we're going to get into that, analyse the key dates of the season, go through all of that good stuff and see the path in front of Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea for next season. Also transfer stuff, Achraf Hakimi and Erling Haaland, more updates about two big targets for Tuchel this summer in the transfer window. But before we get into any of that good stuff, I want to ask you guys on this Wednesday, please hit that like button because it helps new people find the channel. Hit that subscribe button and a notification bell if you haven't already so you don't miss any of the Chelsea content on the channel. Also want to say a massive thank you to my sponsor Lucid FC for supporting Let's Talk Chelsea in 2021. You can use my discount code in the description box below for a £12 discount at checkout on all orders. You can get this t-shirt. Please help support the guys who are Chelsea fans. They support this channel, so use my link in the description box below. And also thank you Lucid once again for sponsoring Let's Talk Chelsea in 2021. But the fixtures have been released for Chelsea FC. This has kind of been a ritual on the channel since I restarted it in 2019, looking at the fixtures, breaking it down, and it's exciting. It really is. Of course, I think we can all go overboard over the fixtures. People already are really analysing them to a big degree in terms of the difficulty, in terms of what's going to happen for Chelsea during the season. As we know, football is unpredictable. As we know of Chelsea are unpredictable. So still got a long way to go. We're savouring the Euros at the moment. There's still some big transfers that could happen at Chelsea. We've still got pre-season to come. A long way to go and a lot can happen, of course, during the season too. So I think the general thing for me, and I'm sure like for a lot of you, we want to be seeing Chelsea do a lot better in the Premier League next season, be much more consistent and mainly seriously compete for a Premier League title after our Champions League triumph. I think we need to do a lot better in the Premier League. I think with the squad we have, with the potential incoming and investment we could put into the squad this summer, with Thomas Tuchel as the head coach too, with a full season at Stamford Bridge. And I think the most exciting thing is having fans back. I mean, it seems likely, hopefully, in the UK, at least in a month's time, it seems like things are going to get back to normal and we're going to be very close to normality basically, and it feels like we're going to have not only home fans but away fans back inside the ground, which is going to make the season a lot more enjoyable. I don't think as exhausting, and it will feel hopefully a lot more normal having supporters back inside the ground and creating that great atmosphere that has been missed. But let's look at Chelsea. Let's look at their fixtures. Opening day, our 21-22 campaign commences with a home fixture, an all-London clash against Crystal Palace. So Crystal Palace, I'm trying to think, have we ever faced them in the Premier League at home on the opening day? I don't think we have. It's an interesting encounter because I know some people were looking at Brentford in particular, newly promoted Brentford, as a local clash that could be quite exciting. In terms of some big games we've had on the opening day, Man United in Frank Lampard's first season. Again, we like to forget last season it was Brighton away. So I think this is a decent start. Most exciting is it's at the Bridge. So if there is a full capacity, what a great day that would be. I hope that the fixture doesn't get moved for TV for like a Friday night or a Monday night. I hope it's at worst, say, a Saturday 5:30 kickoff potentially for Chelsea, because it'd be a wonderful occasion to get back to the Bridge, welcome Thomas Tuchel's European champions back to the Bridge with full capacity. Then a week later, it's another London derby against Arsenal, away to Arsenal at the Emirates. Of course, we lost to them both times last season, so need to make up for that. Our record against Arsenal in recent seasons hasn't been that good, so we need to start improving that. It's then another away day as we play Liverpool at Anfield before we welcome Aston Villa to Stamford Bridge. We have an early away game against Spurs 2, playing at their stadium in mid-September. The home hosting of Tottenham is mid-January, by the way, and we also face Arsenal 2 games later in sort of the same period. Looking at some other big games during the calendar, which people of course look to instantly, we take on the league champions Man City in our third home league game of the season in late September. Man United visit at the end of November. The return fixture at Old Trafford is our last away game of the season. We play away at Man City in the middle of January. Brentford, of course, our first ever Premier League meeting with these West London neighbours, is an away game at their new stadium in October. The Bees visit Stamford Bridge at the start of April, and I am always excited about the festive fixtures, what's going on during that period, because that is a crucial period of the season. Our league fixture prior to Christmas is away to Wolves. On Boxing Day, we are due to return to the West Midlands to face Aston Villa. Bit of a strange Boxing Day game. They usually are local games, and a lot of time we've been at home. And then it is Brighton at home before a New Year's Day match at home to Liverpool, so the return match against Liverpool. And then we look at the crucial run into Chelsea's Premier League season. Our final 6 fixtures begin away at Leeds before a home derby against West Ham, a trip to Everton, and a hosting of Wolves before the penultimate match at Man United. And our final fixture of the season is at home to newly promoted Watford. Yeah, a lot to analyse, a lot could happen. We've got to throw in there the League Cup, the Champions League, the Club World Cup that Chelsea will be involved with in December, AFCON 2 that takes place in January, February time, which is going to take a lot of players in the Premier League out and is going to affect Chelsea in the first team squad. The first thing I would say is everyone has looked at dread with those opening fixtures. You've got Arsenal away, you've got Liverpool away, you've got Spurs, you've got Man City. In particular, the 3, I think, first away games, which is Arsenal, Liverpool and Tottenham. I think it's a positive that Chelsea get 3 of their most tricky away encounters out the way very soon in the season before really the intensity of the Champions League group stage kicks off. I think that's a positive. I know some people were looking at, say, Man United's fixture list or other fixture lists and saying, oh, they have a favourable start. But the quality of the Premier League, if you go through every single fixture list, in particular of most teams in the Premier League or teams that we're going to be competing with at the top of the league, I think that everyone has a difficult run. It's just the nature of the Premier League nowadays. You know, it's not only a top 6 as you'd call it, but all of the other teams that are going to give you problems over the season. And as we've seen with Chelsea, they seem to do better when they're against tougher opposition. It's actually the fixtures you expect Chelsea to win that seem to give us more problems. So that doesn't really concern me. I think you look back to Conte's 16-17 season where we won the league. We didn't start that season particularly well. I remember we had 2 bad defeats to Arsenal and Liverpool, put us in sort of I think down to 8th, and then of course it all changed. So I'm not going to get too dramatic in terms of those opening fixtures. A lot can happen, a lot can change, and Man City have got some difficult fixtures. I think that there still will be a lag probably from the 2021 season in terms of exhaustion, in terms of the fact we're coming off the back of a major tournament. So some teams may find it difficult to get going. And I think that overall, I'm looking at it and going, I'd rather have a really difficult start than a really difficult end if Chelsea are really competing for something. The big thing I always bring up too is that the pattern of Chelsea's recent seasons have been, we start the season really well, we get to about November, December, and you think we could be actually in for a Premier League title challenge, and then it all goes wrong in December and January. That's what has to stop now. You know, Chelsea, that's what drags us into the top 4 slog in the second half of the season. That has to change. So for me, that's my big thing. I think, of course, Man City, with our history of them now with Tuchel versus Guardiola, the Champions League final, them being the champions. But Liverpool too, I think, are going to be a lot stronger with fans back inside Anfield and also having Virgil van Dijk back. You know, I look towards Man United. I think if they were to sign Jadon Sancho and maybe some other players, I think they could be back in the race for a Premier League title seriously. I think there's several teams in the league that I think you've got to look at and say they're going to be a lot stronger next year. But we'll have to wait and see. I think it's on the club now, as I'm going to get to in the other 2 stories today, in terms of Chelsea strengthening the squad in key areas to make us stronger, to really capitalise on the excitement of the Champions League triumph. I think we really have to do it. And I think with Tuchel, you've got a coach there in his first full season with so much excitement and hype around the squad, with even new additions to strengthen it, that Chelsea can compete seriously for a Premier League title again, and see what they can do. Let me know your opinions about the fixture list. I'll leave a link in the description box below so people can, you know, if you want to go and see the full fixture list. Many things are going to change. It's going to be a crazy season once again. Going to be covering all of the games, of course, on Son of Chelsea. So let me know your opinions about the fixture list in the comments below. But I have to talk about some transfer updates for Chelsea's what appears like 2 big targets at the moment, based on, you know, more reliable sources. Firstly, Erling Haaland, and this comes from Duncan Castle's transfer podcast, and Ian McGarry claiming that personal terms for Haaland are signed off. It's just a case of Chelsea agreeing a fee with Borussia Dortmund. I'm not entirely sure how reliable Duncan Castle's sort of transfer podcast is. I've heard this before. I remember way back on the channel speaking about Dembele, if you remember, from Lyon, as a potential striker, and I think it was his podcast claiming that personal terms were done and they weren't, and we never signed Dembele. In particular, how big Haaland still would be for Chelsea. I think there's so long to go with this transfer. I think that the idea that this transfer is going to be wrapped up anytime soon. This is going to be the big fight of I think Chelsea's transfer window. I think that I do like the idea, as I've said before, if Chelsea can't get Haaland, if Lukaku's fully off the table, I think Kane's fully off the table too. Don't go in for anyone else, because I don't think there's anyone better than Erling Haaland out there other than Lukaku or Kane, in my opinion. And I prefer Chelsea. If they can get Haaland, great, go for him. But if you can't, don't waste money on, say, a B or C option and maybe invest elsewhere like midfield, which is such a key area, which hasn't really been discussed in recent days. We've spoken about Erling Haaland and we've also spoken about Achraf Hakimi. Achraf Hakimi, to me, feels a lot closer, at least. I think that if we were to sign Achraf Hakimi, I think it would happen before Erling Haaland, just based on what we're hearing at the moment, the battle with PSG over signing him. This is from Fabrizio Romano, because Achraf Hakimi's agent was giving some comments recently. The only one who's going to leave Inter at the moment is Hakimi, who I represent. We have to work on the Lautaro file. Of course, I think he's the agent of Lautaro Martinez as well, who has been linked with a move away from Inter before. PSG is still interested, though Chelsea, as Romano reports, as we've known before, Chelsea are the only in contact with his agent. So that gives people a lot of excitement. There have been reports coming out of France recently that apparently Hakimi prefers PSG. PSG are ahead of Chelsea in the race. A lot of this blew up around this time last week, if you remember, on the channel, where apparently Chelsea had matched PSG's bid for Achraf Hakimi. Achraf Hakimi seems to be one of the big targets. I know how people are excited about the idea of him coming in and what it could mean for Chelsea's squad. That is a player, in terms of the fixture list, we would lose for the African Cup of Nations in, say, January, February time, I think it would be, given, of course, he plays for Morocco, and it's the same for HAKIM'S too in that same period. But I do want to shout out this article that I definitely just go and read, that I'll leave a link in the description box below, from The Athletic, that goes into a lot of detail about Achraf Hakimi, into Sprint King Hakimi, on Conte's influence in his role as they chased their first Scudetto. This was written around April time, but it gives so much depth around the type of character that Hakimi is, and I definitely just go and read up on Achraf Hakimi, because if he is to come to Chelsea, as I've said on the channel before, despite my doubts around maybe there being other key areas to strengthen, or the massive fee for Hakimi, or the fact that he's a specialist player, I think that when you look at his career, when you look at what he's done so far, there is no denying his talent, and I think it's really intriguing to see what Tuchel would do with him in the current system. So let me know your opinions about these deals. Do you think that Hakimi is going to be signing for Chelsea this summer? What do you think about Erling Haaland too? Do you believe those reports? What do you think about these two massive transfers? Are you a little bit concerned that we're not hearing that much about midfielders at the moment, but do you think that could be after the Euros? Let me know all of that good stuff in the comments below. But that is it for this edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch it. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of the uploads on the channel. Follow me on Twitter at SonOfChelsea. Have a great day, and I'll see you again.